Hey, you've tuned in to DLTV, the healing channel, healing for your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. We're glad to have you. And new subscribers, yay! We really appreciate you. Listen, before we get started, I want to talk about the DLTV giveaway. If you missed that video, it's a 2-minute video. I'll put the link in the description box so you can go back and take a look at what we're giving away and what we're asking for you to do in order for us to get to you what we're giving away. Thank you so much for the emails. Listen, y'all, they're pouring in. So there are some people who really are in need of assistance and others that love them enough to submit their names for this giveaway. So anyway, again, link in the description box. So let's get started. As you know, when we started season 2 of DLTV, I gave you an overview pretty much of what we're going to be discussing and also what we plan to be doing. And one of those subjects that I said that we would discuss is narcissistic personality disorder. Okay, now that term is thrown around a lot here recently. Oh, he's narcissistic. Oh, she's acting like a narcissist. Do we really know what that is and what it means? And do we really know how it literally affects the people that are around them if they truly are narcissistic? Okay, so I am going to tell you what clinicians, what doctors say narcissism is. And so we're going to look at that. But before we go there, you might be wondering, then why do I feel like I'm qualified to talk about it? Well, first of all, I'm not a doctor, so I can't do a diagnosis, as I said in an earlier video. But I do have a degree from the University of Southern California in psychology. And also, I have been affected by narcissism my entire life. In one way or another, one person or another, one place or another. And now I'm free. And I want to help you get free. Because check this out. About 10 years ago, I recognized that I kept running into the same personality type. So I said to myself, Benita, and yeah, Benita, not Destiny Love, my name hadn't changed yet. I said, why is it that you seem to keep drawing the same personality in various areas of your life? What is going on? So I sat with that thing and pretty much looked inside of myself and tried to decide, like, where did this come from? Where did it come from that I accepted that type of behavior? Or how is it that I keep dating this person, or where I go to work is that person, in other areas, and I seem to gravitate towards them, or they gravitate towards me? What's going on? Where did this start? How did I even know how to deal with that situation? And when I kind of got the origin of where I believe it came from inside of me, I started paying more attention to the people that I let into my orbit. And soon as I recognized that, right away, I would put up a barrier, put up a boundary, and I wouldn't let them in. And then I started realizing that there were people already in my orbit that had some of those same characteristics. And I was like, wow. And I started watching them fall off. You know why? Because I stopped allowing them to control and manipulate me. Now, wait a minute now, let me tell you this. I am not manipulatable. If you're overtly trying to manipulate me, oh no, please. But we're talking about covert narcissism, which is a passive-aggressive situation. It's under the cover, it's underneath. These are people that you would not even think would do or be this type of thing that you're experiencing. And we're going to talk more about that. But the bottom line is, I learned how to get out of it. I learned how to no longer draw them. So now I am free. Who? Free? Free indeed. And I want to help you be free. So let's get started. Okay? I wrote down some notes that I want to share with you in a little bit. But right now, I'm going to tell you what's in the DSM-5. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. This particular disorder is there. Okay? Narcissistic personality disorder is in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, which is a tool that clinicians or doctors use to diagnose mental illness and other disorders like narcissistic personality disorder. You need to have at least 5 characteristics out of the 9 that I'm about to read for them to say that they would even consider that you possibly may have this disorder. Now, check this out. We're not talking about somebody who's doing things to get on your nerve periodically, and you see these things on this list and you're like, yeah, they do that every Sunday. Oh yeah, I realize they do. No, this is something that's continual. This is something that's circular. This is something that starts and then it turns around and they say they're going to fix it, or there's some kind of change, so it appears, and then it circulates right on back. It's a circular thing. It's a cycle. And so these are things that you're seeing, and you're also noticing that it's affecting your life and somehow causing you to alter who you are and question who you are in order to even be in the situation, whether it be on your job, whether it be at home, whether it be a child or a spouse or a parent, whatever the situation is that you're involved with someone who you believe that could have narcissistic tendencies. Let me tell you what they say it is, and then we're going to break it down to what that really means up off this paper, and then I'm going to give you my view of what it is because I've dealt with it. So here we go. Need to have 5 out of these. A grandiose sense of self-importance. A preoccupation with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or an ideal love. Let's see. 1 second. A belief that he or she is special and unique and can only be understood and should associate with others that are special or high status people like they think they are. A need for excessive admiration. A sense of entitlement. Interpersonally exploitive behavior. Basically, in interpersonal relationships for what they can get out of it. They envy others, or they believe that others are envying them. So in other words, let me say that again. They envy other people, but they have this thing inside of them that other people are envying them. They demonstrate an arrogant and a haughty behaviors and attitudes. You know, like, after all, don't you know who I am? Okay. So now, that's what the DSM-5 says. Now let's talk about, put it in a little bit more lay terms. They become impatient or angry when they don't receive special treatment. They have significant interpersonal problems and easily slighted or offended. They react with rage, the rage, or contempt, and try to belittle the other person to make themselves appear superior. They have difficulty regulating their emotions and their behaviors, can't control themselves. Experience major problems with dealing with stress and adapting to change. They feel depressed and moody oftentimes. They monopolize the conversations. You know some people like that, don't you? And belittle or look down on the people that they perceive as inferior. They expect special favors and unquestioning compliance with their expectations, which means just because they ask you to do it, they think you should do it because they ask you to do it. Don't you know who I am? They take advantage of others to get what they want. They have an inability or an unwillingness to recognize the needs and the feelings of others. They behave, as I said before, very arrogantly, and they insist on having the best of everything. For instance, the best car, the best office, and so on. Okay, so believe it or not, they say, because they really don't know, this is basically a hypothesis, but this is what they're operating from, that this particular disorder is a trauma response. It's a trauma response to a childhood situation that was extremely traumatic, or early life experience that was extremely traumatic and caused these people to want to control and manipulate their circumstance so they could feel safe. But it's also for those spoiled brats who their parents made them feel like they could do no wrong. You know, the kind that pay for them to get out of trouble, the kind that it's never their child's fault, it's the teacher's fault, it's the neighbor's fault, it's the other child's fault, it's never their child's fault, nothing's ever their fault. They're always trying to play the victim, that type. That's what we're talking about right now. because that's needing to be able to control and feel entitled and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm going to tell you how I see from my experience what it is and what's up with them, because they are liars. Okay? They are mean. They cheat. And they gaslight you. We'll talk about those terms later, because this is part 1 of part 2 of this series. I don't want to give you too much at one time, but I wanted to start with really telling you what this is. Okay, let's go on from here. They deflect and they blame. They create flying monkeys. Check this out. Monkeys don't fly. This is a term that they use when describing narcissists. Look it up. Google it. Flying monkeys, gaslighting. We'll talk about it later. Blaming, manipulating, control, and the rage. Ooh, if you try to confront them or they can't get their way, they throw a tantrum. They can go silent and disappear. You know, not answering your texts, not answering your calls, not returning your DMs. And then show back up like nothing happened and expect for you to just receive them back like nothing. Entitlement. They stir up trouble. That's called sowing seeds of discord among the brethren. That's called being messy. That's called stirring the pot secretly. And it gives them a false sense of power because they're in control. They love to talk about other people and put them down. They love to try to belittle you and take credit for what someone else has done. They are inconsiderate. They must be first. You have to put them first. They have to have the attention. Everything is all about them. You don't understand. It's because I couldn't do it and I didn't feel good and I'm sorry, but I forgot. Or they're coming at you with rage because you've confronted them about something that's just normal. All of these things, is this starting to sound familiar to you? But check this out. They are packaged in charisma. They're very charismatic and talented, many times very beautiful or extremely good looking, wealthy, powerful. Yes. And they believe because they have these things going for them already, you owe them something. The whole world does, as a matter of fact. Is this sounding like something that you've dealt with or dealing with? You know, I just want to talk to you right now for a second, because sometimes the problem is these people are powerful, they have money, and they're wearing a mask, and nobody knows that they're really who they are. But you see how they're treating you and others outside of the public eye, and sometimes even in the public eye. But they somehow seem to be untouchable. Narcissists are on the spectrum, which means from 1 to 10, if you will. There are some narcissists that are like, hi, when they enter the room, and you know they got big old hats on and eyelashes and looking like they're about to sweep the street, and shoes like you've never seen, and they're just flamboyant with theirs. Well, everybody can kind of see that, but what about the ones you can't see coming? Those are the dangerous ones, because they want to use you for what you have. We're going to talk more about how to get out of it and what they're really about and all that kind of stuff later. But right now I wanted you to know who they are. And if they don't have a diagnosis out of the DSM-5, then that does not mean that they don't have narcissistic characteristics, because many believe it's a learned behavior. Others believe what I told you earlier, that comes from trauma. Sometimes people are just selfish and believe that they're supposed to be who they are, which is not exactly at all who they think they are. And if you try to confront them, you will pay for it for the rest of your life. You understand me? They are extremely vindictive. And as long as you're doing what they want you to do, the way you want them, they want you to do it, long as they can continue to control the narrative and control you and whatever is going on around you. And look, it could be at church, it could be at home, it could be on your job, you hear me? It could be your spouse or your parent or your child. Whomever it is, if you're recognizing these things, there's a way out of this. Many of you are like, wow, you mean somebody else is going through this? When I first started hearing about the narcissistic behavior and how they treat their supply, which is another word, those that they prey on, if you will, and how people have gotten out of it and the pain and the heartache behind it, and just it being so heavy to even be in relationship with them, you find yourself altering yourself and trying to change yourself, and you start questioning yourself. They're extremely judgmental. But as long as you go along with what they want you to do and you let them control everything and manipulate everything, and you go along with it and you're okay and you say yes and you keep your mouth shut when stuff you don't like, you'll get along very, very well with a narcissist. But the moment that you decide that you're going to leave or challenge the narcissist, by no longer allowing them to control you and manipulate you, you know, you look up and be like, wait a minute, I said I wasn't going to do that no more. And this is the third time. And because they are masters at it. Rarely getting caught or anybody believing you. So you dare not say anything because you're going to be the one looking like you're crazy. They flip that thing back around on you. So why would you even want to go any further with that? And if you're already in it and you know that you're in a mess, I'm going to help you get out of it by helping you see things from a different perspective by giving you some tools. Let me tell you something, little sisters, little brothers, men and women, boys and girls. If what I've been describing sounds like your story, your situation, your issue, you're questioning yourself, you're being controlled and blamed, and you can never satisfy them. It is a black hole. No matter what you do, it's not good enough. You can cut your hair or dye your hair or grow your hair. Never good enough. At the boss, you can get a perfect score on whatever it is you're trying to do, and it's still not enough. You stay late. You come in early. You do extra. Still not enough. Ain't cold enough. Too tough. I forgot. Over and over and over, like you're not important. Let me tell you something. If you can get out of it, I have a message for you. If you have your head stuck in a lion's mouth, I'm going to teach you how to tickle his tongue till you pull your head out and be able to get out of that situation. If you can't leave because you're married or because it's your job or because it's your next door neighbor, I'm going to give you tools with that too. For those of you who are hearing this and never heard of narcissism, but I'm describing what you're going through, I have a message for you.
Run. Run. Run.